What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And this one I want to break down what's going on with the overall market and talk about Tesla stock. I want to talk about what's going on with SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers, what the news is saying about the markets, and some very big data that's going to be coming out for the first 15 minutes and 30 minutes after the market opens to cause some high volatility. But before I do anything like this, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. The offer ends in just 8 days, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with the market. As of right now, if you look at SPY and all these other tickers, most of them are kind of red for the pre-market, cooling off a little bit after the new Wall Street inflationary fears have come out, and this is due to the big changes in oil production. But for now, there's this news coming out that futures have dropped a bit because of worries about inflation potentially reviving. This is due to very big changes, in supply chains, which is making investors a little bit more concerned. Now, when it comes to what we should know before the market opens, just quickly, I just want to mention that right now there's this big news that came out that down here, Saudi Arabia has announced that it's going to be extending its 1 million barrel per day crude oil production cuts until the end of the year. And this is important because it's going to lead to a big reduction in supply. And this is part of why we're starting to see, with high demand still maintaining its stance, we're starting to see gas prices going up. We're starting to see oil prices, once again, just hitting these highs right here. It's at a 10-month high as of right now. So this is some big news. This is actually affecting the markets, and it's going to affect inflation right over here. But is it going to last forever? Not necessarily. It's just worth noting. There's some news involving Disney. Once again, them coming out and changing their leadership roles. Besides that, nothing else is too crazy that's going on. I also now want to talk about something very, very big for the markets for today. Just as a reminder, now we have a Fed speaker calling speaking right now, and then after that, 15 minutes after the stock market opens at 9:45 a.m., we have the S&P Global Services PMI report. This is going to cause some volatility because if this is too low, if it's below 50, that's going to show a major contraction in this economy. If it's above 50, then that could be pretty decent for investors. So we have to be very careful. We have to see what this causes, and we have to see what this looks like, because this could lead to more recessionary fears again if it's too low. Then after that, at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern time, or about 30 minutes after the market opens, we have the ISM Services PMI, we have the ISM Services Employment, and all this other important data that's going to cause even more volatility. So we want to watch this as well. It's going to give us more ideas about what the services sector is looking. And this is once again going to lead to the stock market making a very, very big move. But it's going to start off 15 minutes after the market opens. That's when we're going to see the biggest volatility. So make sure you're prepared for that. Expect anything, and you want to be open-minded approaching this data. So 15 minutes and 30 minutes after the market opens. Anyways, when it comes to Tesla, there's this news that came out right here about how there were cuts that came out to their batteries. This was very, very important because battery costs ended up plunging from their manufacturer. And this helped them to cut prices once again in China. And they actually got criticism for it, but it didn't really eat into their margins as badly. So with them continuing to do this, there are some concerns about that. But as of right now, Tesla's not being too affected by this. This was just making some headlines. I want to just call that out. Anyways, now let's talk about what's going on with Tesla and the market. Right now, Tesla's looking quite strong. And the reason why I'm saying it's strong is because the market is down like, 0.2%. Other stocks are down like 0.5%. And yet Tesla's only down about 0.05%. So it's still holding up. And like I was telling you yesterday, we're likely going to see some range trading between 255 and 260, at least for the time being. So Tesla's still holding up very nicely, trying to push up. But remember that around this level, we tend to see a lot of sideways range trading between 255 and 260, where Tesla just goes back and forth and back and forth. And there's a high probability it's going to do this once again. But the thing you have to remember about Tesla is that even if Tesla is range trading for some time, even if this thing tries to push up to like 260 and just comes back down, trades sideways, the problem is we have this data coming out, and it may cause Tesla to move in another direction. It could cause the market to slow down, which may slow Tesla down a little bit. Could cause the market to pump, which may pump Tesla even higher. So we just have to be prepared for what the PMI report is going to do 15 minutes and 30 minutes after open. But for the time being, just know that 255 tends to be our support, and we have 253 below that. 252.5, and then 250 as our supports. And then for resistance, watch 257.5 to 258, and then 260 as resistance. And above that, it has the potential to push all the way up to 262.5. So those are some levels to watch for on Tesla. It looks like it's just going to range trade for a little bit, and then we're going to be watching and try to get its way up to like 260 first, and just continue to range trade around there. And then we're going to watch what reaction we get after the PMI data comes out. That's going to be very, very important. So get ready for some higher volatility. Now on SPY, on the 4-hour time frame, it is looking more bearish overall. This thing has been declining. It's currently at 448, but the thing is, we've been gapping down. So if we get some decent data, this thing could easily come up to fill this gap at 449 and start pushing back up, which could push Tesla up to like 260. If it's the opposite and the market gets a rug pull, then 446.5 is on the table for SPY if it breaks below 447 or the 50 EMA. So those are two very important levels to watch for. Even if we do get some kind of balance, which is very possible, right, to fill the gap at 449, the overall trend is still more bearish on the 4-hour time frame, at least for the time being. We're making lower highs and lower lows and continuing to just downtrend. So this trend may continue as time progresses, but we're going to be watching to see this data, at least for the time being, and just take this one day at a time. But overall, don't forget that the trend is still favoring the bears a bit more on SPY. It's a little bit weaker than other tickers out there. Now for Apple, Apple's currently at 188 flat. Here's the thing about Apple. Apple is starting to show some signs of decline, but it's not that bad. If we get some decent data, Apple could push back up to 189. If we get some bad data, you're going to be watching 187, then 186.5 as supports. Not to mention 187.68, which is our 20 EMA. Now on Apple, on the 4-hour time frame, we have a bearish divergence, and also on the 30 minutes time frame, we have a triple and quadruple bearish divergence that has been developing. That tells me that going into Apple's big events for September 12th, either approaching the event or even like after the event, there's going to be a big rug pull most likely coming. I think Apple is going to get rug pulled later on. I think there's a high probability of that between now and the next week. There's going to be some downside coming. We could bounce and push up temporarily, but be prepared for this potential rug pull that's going to be coming, likely after Apple's iPhone release or something like that, right, on September 12th. That could be what causes it. Just be prepared for that. That's going to affect the whole market. Looking at the QQQ, this thing is currently flat, down 0.23%. Nothing too crazy. It's been going back and forth, trading sideways. One thing worth mentioning is we have support at 375, and then 374 is going to be the next support below that, since we have our 200 EMA in the 374s. For resistance, you're going to be watching 376 flat. If that ends up breaking, we have 378 coming next. And then above that, we have 379.3. Those are some important levels. It looks like there's a possibility of this thing pushing up to try to fill its gap here, from the opening gap, so at 378 before this thing continues lower. But the overall trend, especially on the 4-hour time frame, is looking a little bit more bearish. We need to see this thing break and hold above the 20 EMA for this thing to try to turn bullish again. If it breaks below the 20, this thing is going to start sinking all the way down to like possibly the 374s. So watch the 20 EMA at 376.5 as a critical support. And besides that, it is looking a little bit more bearish overall, but we have to see if this trend continues and if it does break below the 20. Overall, don't forget there's going to be volatility after the big data is released. Nvidia is looking a little bit more bearish. It looks like it may continue sinking as time goes on. However, with the data coming out, we could get a balance. If it does get a balance, it could make its way back up to 490. If not, 477 is going to be on the table. Now, it looks like it's just range trading right now between our 20 and 50 EMAs, and it may just continue to trade sideways around this 485 level for the time being. But here's the thing. If the market starts sinking over the next few days, especially with all this data coming, this could drag Nvidia down, and there's a high probability of that potentially happening. But just to be safe, we have to watch and see if it could get below the 50. If it does break below this 50 EMA, it's going to start sinking a lot lower. But we have to watch 478 around this area for the time being. That's going to be a critical support for Nvidia. The dollar is kind of flat right now, not really doing much. I could see the dollar still declining just a little bit. It could decline just a tiny bit as we're about to get a bearish cross on the PPO. But if it does decline, we have this support right here where this breakout area happens to be very close to our 20 EMA. So 104.38 is going to be a key level. And we could see it bounce off that and continue pushing. So if that's the case, if it doesn't break down too much, the market could still maintain these lower levels. The VIX is trying to push up even higher. If it is a confirmed breakout, then we could get a bullish cross on the PPO, which would be another bearish signal for the stock market. But for now, we just have to wait for it. Anyways, for Tesla, it's only down 0.15%. It's just still holding up very nicely. So watch the range on Tesla for the time being and get ready for some high volatility throughout the whole market, 15 minutes and 30 minutes after the market opens. That's going to be key. Until I see you guys again, thank you all so much for listening. Have a great day and peace out.